It's the Fellowship of the Geek Show, a weekly podcast about comics, the comic book industry, and other geek pop culture. Music courtesy of Manny the Martyr. And now, on with the show!
Hey there, everybody. It's the Fellowship of the Geeks podcast. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining me for this episode is Mike Marlowe.
Hey, gang.
Les Webster.
Hello, all.
And Liz Newman.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
A little rusty.
Yeah, a little rusty.
Yeah, do apologize for that.
We've had issues.
Some of us have had health issues, and some of us had to deal with others that had health issues. So we've had to take some time off to try to recover. But we're back right now. So hope everybody out there is doing okay. So what's been going on in your corner of the galaxy?
Oh, man. What hasn't been going on? Couple of weeks worth of stuff. I don't know. How much time we got?
Not that much. You're going to have to spread it out.
Yeah. Well, I was saying before show, I threw my back out again. Yay. But every time that my back goes up, I can't sit, I can't stand. The only thing I can do is like lay down to get the pressure off my back. So I watched quite a bit of TV. I can't remember who, but a while back somebody told me I needed to watch White Lotus, which is on HBO, and I saw a clip of it. Facebook's, I don't know if it's just here recently or maybe they've been doing this all along, but for me it's recent. They've been showing like clips of movies. I don't follow them or anything, so I don't know why they're showing them to me. But they showed a clip of this, and it kind of caught my attention. But it was the new season, and I didn't realize there was 3 seasons, and that the new season was still ongoing, or I wouldn't have started it. But I did watch the first 2 seasons. I watched all of it, but the first 2 seasons are pretty good. I will say that the first season is better than all of them. I think that's pretty much with any TV series that you get into. But I wasn't understanding what the show was about when they told me to watch it. I thought it was like a hotel kind of show, and it is. But the hotel it's an anthology. So the hotel is like the only common theme in the whole story, kind of. I don't want to say too much because, like I said, the 3rd season's still ongoing. But they are standalone seasons. You don't have to watch one, to watch the other or anything like that because it is an anthology. But, of course, it helps if you do. But if you like murder mystery type stuff, that's pretty much what this is. Every season starts off with a body. They won't show you who that body is, but there's a body or bodies. And the whole season you're trying to figure out who that person was and what the hell happened, There's usually about maybe 3 to 4 different stories going on in the main story. And so you're trying to, is it this people or is it this story? Who's dead? Yeah. I like it because there's been enough twists to where I have not guessed right any of the seasons so far. I mean, it's only been 2. I'm sure I'm going to be wrong on the 3rd one too. But at the end, when it's finally revealed who it is, you're kind of like, oh, okay. But the first season actually did that twist a lot better. I guess the 2nd season you're kind of expecting it kind of thing. Usually who you don't think it's going to be, that's who it is kind of thing. But a lot of big names, huge names. I know some of the guys from Sopranos was in the 2nd one. It's in Italy. The first one's in Hawaii. and the third season now is in want to say Bangkok, but it's not Bangkok. It's
Singapore?
Thailand. There you
Okay.
go. It's
Bangkok
in Thailand.
is in Thailand, so you were close.
Is okay. But yeah, I like it. Like I said, now that the third season has started, and there's 8 episodes each season, and I think the newest season is at episode 5. So you're the story's starting to kind of unravel now to where we're seeing what's happening and everything else. But now that we're in the third season, some of the things that are happening, you can kind of go, oh, okay, that happened in the first season. So it's connecting more. It makes more sense now in the third season. Like the second season makes more sense to me now that the third season kind of is explaining and wrapping it up a little more. Although it doesn't have anything to do with the second season. I know it sounds weird, but it has nothing to do, but it's explaining it, So I like it. But then we also started the new Daredevil. I like it. I haven't seen the newest episode. I only watched the first 2 that premiered. And I like it. Shocked, yes. I won't do spoilers on that either, but it was very shocking. I think if you liked the Netflix series, you're going to be pissed. Not because it's bad. I mean, I actually think it's a pretty good little series, or it started out really good. Started out in the first 5 minutes by slapping you in the face. But, yeah. I
That's
think
kind of how the original show was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, usually I give things about 3 episodes. If you haven't caught my attention in those 3 episodes, then I'm done. If something can capture you in the first 5 minutes, they're doing good.
Right, something's going right.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are not liking Kingpin because they're like, you broke him. Kingpin, I mean, there was a lot of multifacets that went to Kingpin, and anyone who thinks there's not power in politics and that somebody who is corrupt like that wants power wouldn't get into politics is crazy. So I don't understand how they're like, oh, you broke him. No, because even at that, within the first couple of minutes of him being in his new role, he showed the kind of person he was and that we know he is. So it's kind of like, he's got his smoke screen up right now that I'm a good guy, but he's shown things to us, or they've shown us things that he's done that lets us know, no, he's not a good guy. He's not who he wants these people to think that he is. I mean, he's freaking Kingpin. So, I would have to say to those people, bear with it. Just go with it, because we know by the end of the season he's going to be the same corrupt Kingpin that he's always been. I mean, peppers don't change their spots, right? So plus it's Vincent D'Onofrio. I mean, come on. He plays a good psychotic part, and we'll get there. So that's a good one. And one last thing. Tuesday, we finally got the last episode of Invincible. I don't know who lit a fire up under his ass, but I'd asked them to please keep it there, because this is by far the best season that they have put out there. I mean, the first season was really good, but this last season, wow. I mean, it came out really quick. We didn't have to stop halfway through, wait a year for the last half of this or anything else. But the storytelling in this has just been mind-blowing. I mean, I told you guys about the one episode where there was absolutely no dialogue for like 10, 15 minutes. And I probably laughed, I cried, I, was shocked in those 15 minutes by him not saying absolutely anything, you know. So whoever, I don't know if he's got new writers or I don't know, but he definitely needs to keep at this pace, and it was really really good. Um, the last villain comes in on the last episode, and he's sitting there talking to Mark or Invincible, and I keep thinking, why does this voice sound really familiar? I mean, I know this voice, and then he said something. Oh, he called him an idiot, and the way he said it, it was like, oh, I know who that is. And it was Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which he never mentioned anything about being in this, so it was kind of a, oh shit. But which, it was kind of sad because, okay, now that we figured out that Conquest is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Invincible is played by Stephen Yeun, who was Glenn in Walking Dead. Now, of course, Jeffrey Dean Morgan was Negan in Walking Dead. So in this fight scene where they're fighting and everything else, it was like, shit. Negan's getting another one over on Glenn, even to the point where he had one eye at one point. So it's like, damn. So we're doing this again.
Reunion.
Just how we left them. But it was really cool. Like I said, I don't know if that was done on purpose, but I thought that was a really cool nod. Putting them two back together like that. I know Jeffrey Dean Morgan's been really busy here lately, so it was kind of a nice surprise to hear his voice pop up in something like that. But if you haven't watched Invincible, like I said, definitely, I think there's 3 or 4 seasons now, maybe 3. We just finished 3. So, don't hold it accountable by the second season. That was bad.
It's possible. I'm not saying this is real or factual or anything, but it's possible that without all of the break in the middle BS, if somebody went back and watched it all at once now, it might be better.
No.
I tried, people. I tried.
Right. No. I don't know. The second season had a rushed feeling to it. The animation, the story was very weak.
I did not mean to get her started on it either.
I only say weak because Kirkman is a comic book writer, and it seems like he should know how to carry an arc pretty well. But the second season, he just kind of dropped the ball, and he just put whatever he could out there. I'm calling it a placeholder season. He didn't want to lose the show, and that's what he gave us. Even in the second season, there's like a joke about how hard it is to animate and da-da-da-da-da, and sometimes it takes a little time. Kind of his way of being like, hey, guys, back the fuck off. Okay, the only thing I have to say to that is The Simpsons do it every week. Okay? South Park does it every week. There's not a 2-year wait period or anything. So I understand. I completely, being, some of the work that I do, completely understand how hard animation is. I completely understand the time that it takes to do that. But come on. I mean, I guess TV has kind of spoiled us to that, you have your fall shows that come on, you have your summer shows that come on without fail. I know, like now, spring started. I know Grey's Anatomy is about to come back on. There's no guessing about that. It's coming back, and, they're going to finish the season up. You shouldn't have to wait 2 years to get a new season. You lose. To me, it seems like you would lose a lot of your audience by doing that. If you have a hit on your hands, like Mandalorian, don't make your fans wait for that. Keep going. If you want to make money, keep going. And they didn't. So,
TV doesn't work the same anymore. Get over it.
Yeah. No, but when you have like streaming services, I don't know. It seems like some of the rules are lifted off of them with the streaming services, so you should
Yeah.
have better luck.
There are no rules. They're making it all up as they go now. It is the Wild West of what used to be called TV,
Yeah.
and it's not the same, and it's not going to
See,
be the same. It's not. We're not going to go back to the way it was. It's
no.
always going to be different.
And I don't think it was a matter of him working on this for 2 years either. And no downfall to him, but the Mandalorian fell into the same trap here. When you put too many pokers into the fire, you're going to forget about one of them. And I feel that's what Kirkman had did he had Walking Dead, he had The Last One of Us, which is the Michonne and Rick, and so many spinoffs, Daryl and Carol and Maggie and da-da-da. He had so much going on that I feel that Invincible was the one that suffered because of that. Because Invincible's over here on a streaming service. These are over here on network TV, and we
I
gotta
don't
keep
know.
it
Did you
going.
watch all of the others?
No.
Right.
I didn't.
So how do you know that Invincible was the bad one of the bunch?
Well, I'm not saying bad as in writing. I'm saying bad as in all the time and the delays and the put it off and, we got to do this one first. And that's what I believe Invincible 2 suffered from. Lack of time. Nobody was looking at it. He had his eyes over here on all of his Walking Dead stuff and, wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing over here. Like I said, no fault to him because, hey, all these shows that I'm talking about are hits. So it's not like he's writing garbage. But I think out of all the projects that he had going, Invincible was the one that suffered as far as the time and the delays and stuff. Same thing with Mandalorian. With all the stuff that he's got going now and had going and spun this off and did this and there's going to be a movie and da-da-da-da. All of this shit happened and Mandalorian, the hit show, got put on the back burner because he had all this other shit going. Well, dude, this is what made you. Or not made you, but made this hype that you're playing into right now,
I got to stop feeding the trolls here.
And we still don't have another season.
No, we've got other stuff.
But I didn't want other stuff.
Well,
they're
not doing it for you
to come out. But see, I'm not saying do it for me.
Yeah, you are.
But
That's
nowadays,
exactly what you're saying. That's what you've been saying for a while now.
No. Okay, I'm not getting this across right, so I'm done. But it's not just for me. And you can tell by numbers and ratings what it's done to these shows. That's not make-believe. So.
Nobody's saying it's make-believe.
Well, you are. You're saying it's because of me and, no, they're not doing it for you. Well, I'm not asking them to. But I am part of the general audience, and I am allowed an opinion.
You are allowed an opinion.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not shutting down your opinion.
Opinion is that these shows are being delayed and taking too long. You're losing your audience. So pick one.
Right, and my point is they are picking one. And unfortunately, it's not the one you want them to pick. And it's not the one that a lot of people want them to pick.
No.
So and they're going to have to live with that decision, and we'll see.
And most of their spin-offs they have done from Mandalorian have been crap. Just saying. So it's kind of like, you put your money on the wrong horse. Should have did the Mandalorian that everybody was tuning into and even made this other spin-off shit interesting. But no, they went to this non-interesting stuff and left the prize cow in the barn.
The other thing that makes it difficult with all of this, and boy, am I going off here on a tangent, is that because it's such a huge mystery as to how they make money off of these things in the first place, we can't really be sure if they're making the wrong choice. Maybe they're still making a shit ton of money off of these series that aren't doing as well as The Mandalorian did ratings-wise.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly they must be because they keep doing it.
Farview's going to be paid to do. fart in a can, and they're paying him to do that right now.
Don't give him any ideas. You can buy that shit on the
That's
internet.
what I'm saying. It probably isn't. I mean, it's not any good, but think of all the Star Wars spinoffs that he's done right now. How many of them have actually been successful?
My point is, we don't know because we don't know what the metrics are for success. We have no way of knowing.
Yeah,
Because they don't share that information.
Disney kind of tells you, though. They don't release the exact numbers, but usually you can tell by their top 10, the email they send out, what people have been watching, and that kind of thing. All the stuff
I'm not sure
never really made it.
To be honest.
And then when you talk to their profits and loss when they have that end of the month meeting and that kind of thing, yeah, they let you know what shows didn't make it. And you never see a season 2.
Yeah, and that's going to happen with most of any shows that any of them put out. So, I mean, that I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's hard to judge from that because they're not giving us enough information to figure something out on our own. I mean, maybe there are industry insiders that can glean information from all the BS they talk about, but you and I ain't among them.
No,
but
they usually have the articles that break it down, though. For us that don't read into that, they usually, comic book news or whatever will let you know.
Yeah, I don't know if I trust them either, but
yeah,
whatever. They're not doing that for me anyway, so.
Right. But yeah, like I said, I hope now with the turnaround that he had from 2 to 3 that he keeps with it, and like I said, he definitely 100% improvement in the 3rd season.
Cool.
Alrighty, Mikey.
Okay, I got to follow that. She's going to be gunning for me now, so I got to be careful.
Oh, we all are.
We got your number.
Oh, good. Somebody tell me what it is, because I can't get hold of me for nothing. Anyway, bad joke.
Leave yourself an email.
That never works. So I watched. I mean, it's been a while, so I watched several things, but the one thing I'm going to talk about was kind of a fun. I mean, to call it a fun documentary is maybe not the best description, but it's a very interesting documentary, and it's called Mike Mignola Drawing Monsters.
Okay.
This came out. This did the film festival circuit in 2022, and got a release, a real quote unquote real release. It got a streaming release in September of last year. And it is, not surprisingly, basically a story of Mike Mignola and kind of his life and his work and a bunch of the stuff that he's touched and dealt with and some of the people he's hung around and all of that stuff. And so it's a biography, basically. But there's some really fun guests in this. And they go into quite a bit of detail and on some stuff, like the Hellboy movies. There's quite a bit of detail there, and it's some really interesting stuff. Some stuff I never would have guessed. So they talk extensively with Guillermo del Toro, for example, and Ron Perlman. And yeah, and it's there's some really interesting kind of behind the scenes stuff with that, and then there's also the interesting contrast between Hellboy and Hellboy 2. I don't want to spoil nothing because, like I said, it's interesting, but it's you learn a lot about the guy. He doesn't hold back a whole lot in this, which is cool. He's also apparently a very what's the term? He's got a lot of imposter syndrome, put it that way. And so he's very hard on himself. He's very, very much questions a lot of his own decisions in his life and stuff. And it's interesting to hear that perspective, and then to have the people like his friends and his wife talking. They're like mixing it in where they're all saying all this great stuff and how he was doing this and how it was really good for him and blah blah blah. And while he's just over here just beating on himself early on in this documentary, basically his early career, like his Marvel career. And I mean, he's very much of the opinion he's like the worst inker who's ever worked at Marvel. And I'm like, really? You still believe that all these years later? With all the success you've had, it's just crazy. But yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, it's in depth, and it's kind of personal with it, and it's kind of a lot of the things you want to see in a good documentary about a comic book creator.
Well, that's cool.
Very professionally done too.
And what was that on?
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting. In a good way.
Alrighty, Les.
Well, I've been watching a lot of the So Bad It's Good clips. And I recommended one to my cohorts here, and I recommend it to anybody that gets online. This is a program, usually about a half hour long, where the group, and I say group because usually there's either 2 of them or 5 of them. It could be any number there. They sit down to watch a movie and rate it. If it's good enough to be so good that it's bad type feeling. The one that I asked everyone to watch was the Star Wars Turkey movie, or not Turkey.
Turkey.
Yeah, the Turkish Star Wars.
Yeah, well, it is a turkey.
It is entirely a turkey.
Yep.
Which is
May
one
the
of those.
gobble be with you.
That's about it. It's god awful. And yes, it's one of those that afterwards I said, God, I wonder if I can find this. And unfortunately, I was not able to. I'm sorry?
Was there a part 2?
Lord.
Maybe so.
Don't get any ideas.
Well, I'll get back with you on that. I was watching one the other day called Barbarian Queen, starring Lana Clarkson, who was an actress that was murdered by her, I want to say boyfriend, Phil Spector, who was the the music mogul, and that was back in.
Hi guys.
Hey there.
Hey, Phil.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. I told you.
I forgot
he
what
tried
I was
to-
talking about.
Barbarian Queen.
Yeah. This is one of those that makes you chuckle. But then I sat and watched it, and it made me laugh even more. So usually when I finish watching the broadcast, I'll look for the movie just to see if it's as stupid as given. And usually it is. So, like I said, I've seen so many of those now that I do want to venture further. If anybody wants to follow our lead, you can find it on YouTube channel, or you can go to the internet and go under jasonbrandt.com, and they have a listing of, I think it's close to 300 and some episodes. And it's one of those that I do highly recommend just for giggles. It's dumb how they find these movies and make me force my way to watch them. So that's about what I have for you.
I'm not going to say you're unique in that, but there ain't many people that would put themselves through that torture.
Oh, no. But it is so much fun.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and they are pretty good with their commentary is I mean, it's that movie's awful, and their commentary was pretty funny along the way.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like you said, it was like half hour, 35 minutes long. So they didn't show the whole movie, but
Since I watched that one, they keep throwing up, hey, you might want to watch this one too. So I've watched a few of them, and I think their commentary really is what keeps you.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the movie.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that was a pretty good suggestion, Les.
Thanks.
Anything
That's it
else?
for me. No, that's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Excuse me. I picked up a couple of collections here real recently. One of them I just started reading. If you're a long-time listener to the show, I've talked about these series before. From Marvel, it's from their Epic Collection line. It's Incredible Hulk, Ground Zero. This is the start of the famous run of Peter David, with art by Todd McFarlane. So, I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready to read that. The other one is from DC's Finest line, which just started up like late last year. And this is one I've been really wanting to check out, and I've read the first couple of stories. It's titled "The Origin of Plastic Man."
Oh.
Huh.
And these are the first stories from the first 15 issues from Police Comics, from 1940 and 1941, I believe. And first 2 issues of Plastic Man from back from the 40s.
Okay.
So, it's funny reading the first story because it's actually the origin of Plastic Man. And there is a section in that story I had to read a couple times over and over and over again because I was going, that doesn't make sense. It's almost like you needed an editor because I knew some of I knew bits and pieces of the origin. I knew that his name's Eel O'Brien, and he was a criminal.
Mm-hmm.
And in this story, it starts off with it might remind some people of a certain movie from like 1989. It's them breaking into a chemical plant and trying to steal items that are in the safe. He gets shot and then gets acid dumped on him. That's how he gets the abilities.
Yeah.
And the confusing part was, he's run off, and he collapses, and the next thing he knows, he's waking up, and he doesn't call it that, but it's basically like a monastery. You got a monk there that's nursing him back to health. Well, at this point, he realizes all of a sudden that, hey, I can stretch and I can do all this and all that. It was like, I'll start fighting crime. And like, well, that seems like a wild switch. You've been a criminal, and then all of a sudden you got these abilities, and like, I'm going to fight crime. And then the next thing he says is, boy, this guy's been so kind to me and helped me and all that. I should do something. I should better myself, essentially. It's like, boy, that really should have been reversed, Because I kept going. It's like, that is the craziest about face. You've been a career criminal, and all of a sudden you gain special abilities, and then I'm gonna start fighting against the people I've been teaming up with. Okay, so
I mean, good, but yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's wow.
I mean, it's not the last crazy thing he ever did either, but.
Oh no. So, but it's just kind of funny how that happened. And of course, yeah, he gets the costume and all that, and so I'm looking forward to reading more of this. But it's just kind of funny how that came about. But so
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying this line. It's some of the stuff has not been reprinted in some cases ever, like this stuff. They just announced that later this year, I mean, they've already announced like they're doing Peacekeeper from the Charlton era, but they also announced a Blue Beetle from the Charlton era, and it's like they're really trying to do something different. It's not the same old stuff. It's not the same stuff that's already been reprinted and then reprinted again and then reprinted again. And, okay, well, here's a new collection. Let's do that. And it's all over again. It's the golden age, the 30s and 40s, and then you got the 50s, 60s, all the way up till 2000s. So it's all around the time period. I appreciate what they're trying to do. So there's that. Yeah, I'm still doing some of all those videos on YouTube. I've actually kind of drawn myself closer to the dash cams. And God, after watching a bunch of those after a while, one thing pops out to me really quick. We need to get rid of roundabouts. People are making turns from the center lane. The concept of a roundabout just blows their fucking minds. Mm-hmm. They don't know what to do. So damn aggravating.
It would be nice if they covered that in like driver's ed or something.
Right.
But the deal is there aren't enough of them yet.
Yeah. Well, but the thing, I mean, does it really matter? Because they cover everything else that we're watching idiots do on a daily basis. So
yeah.
Another thing that's pointed out that gives me some hope. It's nice to see in the cases of like some accidents and that kind of stuff, people are pulling over, getting out, trying to help. And then in some of the cases with the dash cams and all that, they'll usually have some little blurb of what the driver was saying. And they say, hey, I caught the accident, so I gave them a copy of the video for insurance purposes or to fight possible, lawsuits or tickets or that type of thing. So that's cool. That's the people are helping other people. It's kind of nice to see because it's seems like we don't see it enough.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good point.
so and there's another channel I'm not sure how much I talked about before. I know I mentioned it. It's been a while. It's Robert's Retro. Oh, God, I had it here somewhere. Robert Retro Rewind. And what I talked about before was he had produced a bunch of videos of TV seasons during the 70s, and these were very short-lived shows, which was kind of interesting to see those. Well, he's back again, and what he's doing is every Wednesday he's releasing a season from the 60s with a similar theme, and then on Saturdays he's doing the 80s. So it's kind of interesting seeing some of those programs. A lot of them I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see why this does not last. But there was one in '69, and I think I read somewhere that the episodes are available on YouTube. I just hadn't taken the time to locate them. The show's called The New People.
New or nude?
New.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
you
you want to watch.
You want to took the wind out of her sails.
I was just wondering.
And the premise is that there was a group of college students who were I don't remember, I can't remember where they were flown to do a kind of a PR thing for a government program, and for the U.S. government. It's kind of like a peace thing, if I remember correctly. And one of the students screwed it up. He voiced his opinions or some such like that. So everything was called off, and they were sent back. Well, the plane crashes on a deserted island. And come to find out that this island was supposed to be a test island for atomic bombs. Because it has structures, it has supplies, it has all this. And when the last adult dies, it's basically just the college students, so they set up their own government and society and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of talking about kind of dealing with the counterculture of the late 60s and all that. And kind of deal with racism, sexism, and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, that sounds kind of interesting. I would like to check out a couple episodes just to see,
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it lasted for 17 episodes, so it had to have done okay.
Wow. I'm a
Yeah.
little surprised it lasted that long.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of funny watching some of these, because you kind of think of what the thinking was, and but it's fun, especially the 80s, because all of a sudden you're seeing people that you recognize today. There was one, I think it was from 80, I think it was the 81, 82 season. I don't remember what the name of the show was, but the premise was it was two families that were living in the same house. It was a big house, and they were both single mothers, if I'm not mistaken. And one of the mothers was played by Eileen Brennan. which at this time she was kind of getting real popular because of her being in the movie Private Benjamin.
Mm-hmm.
So she was in this show, but guess who was playing her oldest child, her oldest son?
I'm afraid to guess. In 1981.
For 1980, 1981, yeah, right around there. Anyone want to guess?
Tom Hanks.
He was around there. That was more Boost Buddies times, I
Yeah,
think.
Bosom Buddies was like a year or two later.
Yeah.
Adam Arkin.
Actually, in this last one from 83, 84, he was starring in the show then, which didn't last long. So, how about Rob Lowe?
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh wow, I did not realize he was that far back. So that's what's kind of the things. It's not only just the concepts of the shows, but just who shows up on the shows.
Yeah,
it's kind of fun to see. The great Norman Lear, I think it was 83 or 82. He had it was just this last season, so it was 83, 84. It was a show called AKA Pablo that lasted 5 episodes, starring Paul Rodriguez. But when you watch it, it's like, okay, you had All in the Family, so there was the white middle class, and then you got Good Times with the blacks, and here's the Hispanics. He was trying to do the same thing, but it only lasted 5 episodes, so it obviously couldn't catch on. So.
Interesting.
So. And this was the season we also had Manimal. Woohoo!
Oh,
Hey.
God.
We've talked about that before. Not in any detail, of course, but...
But why did we talk about it? That's what I want to know.
Oh, it came up in one of our roundabout things where we followed tangents. We got it confused with something else, if I remember correctly.
Probably.
Probably something good.
Right.
There was. I know I made some notes. Hang on a second. That I kind of wanted to pop. Here's something sad. This is from the 69-70 season. It was a show that only lasted 8 episodes. I think it was just like a summertime replacement called Comedy of the Night. It was actually in 70, not 69. Made notable for early appearances of Robert Klein, Peter Boyle, Madeline Kahn.
Wow.
Who did a movie together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's the sad thing. None of the footage exists.
Oh, that is a bummer.
It is.
Um,
A lot of our classics are disappearing.
well, that's a sad thing. Even the bad stuff, I think should still exist because it kind of shows you. It's kind of like a.
There's steps on the path.
Yeah,
Yes.
where they came from.
Yeah, where
Steps on the path. It's hey, this is what executives thought would be good TV at the time. That type of stuff.
Yeah.
right, and how quickly they can change their minds.
Right. I remember hearing about this one show, and it's Working Stiffs. I think this was like 82, 83, or 81, 82.
I think I remember that one.
Mm-hmm. Do you remember who starred in it?
No, I don't.
How about Jim Belushi and Michael Keaton?
Yes.
Oh, that does
I
sound
remember
familiar.
something like that. Yeah.
Okay, 9 episodes were produced, 4 only aired.
Thanks.
It was canceled pretty quick.
Sounds like a season of Firefly or something.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Do you guys remember the TV show that I know I'm going to pronounce his last name wrong? Alan Tudyk did, where they were like superhero insurance guys or something. They worked in an office building where like superheroes were constantly tearing up the city and that kind of thing, but the superheroes were never the focus. It was more like the Office show.
Yeah, that's Damage Control.
Yeah. Was that the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that's based off a
It's a
comic.
Marvel comic, right?
Yeah.
Which was a great comic. I loved the idea, and it was executed so damn well.
Yeah. They just got one season. I don't even think it was a full season.
I never watched the show though.
It was good. Sorry, not to.
No. You're fine.
That's exactly the kind of thing we're talking about, though.
Yeah.
There was a show called Amanda's, starring B. Arthur. I had forgotten that this had been done. She plays the owner of a like a bed and breakfast. It's basically American Faulty Towers.
Yes.
Ah.
I think I remember something like that.
I don't know if I want to watch that.
Me either. I can barely stand to watch Faulty Towers.
Yeah.
Not because it's bad. Not
I
because
like
it's
Faulty
bad.
Towers.
Just because it's just so painfully awkward.
Yeah.
And that's something that has always rubbed me the wrong way.
That's just
Too
British comedy,
Too
though.
close to home.
But I know there was a couple other shows I would really love to find just because of the cast. There was one called Stone, which was a police drama starring Dennis Weaver. He was a cop, but he's also an author. His boss was played by Pat Hingle.
Huh.
Interesting.
And then his other cop, I don't believe it's a partner, but I'm not sure, was played by Weaver's son. I'm like, okay, interesting. So, like I said, I mean, I could keep on and keep on and keep on. There was some really interesting stuff. There's some stuff that just like, yeah, I could see why this only lasted 3 episodes, and that was probably being generous, but the other thing that reminds me how it was back then, every night one of the networks was doing a night at the movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
And NBC was doing one of those, and that brought you things like Columbo. There were 4 of them. Like San Francisco.
The Streets of San Francisco?
No, not the streets. This was a different show.
Mm.
But it had like Heck Ramsey with Richard Boone.
Mm. Yeah.
So, yeah, things like that were pretty cool. In fact, one of the programs that they put out there was Star Trek. That was one of those programs that was just about to start up, so here came Star Trek.
Oh, there was something else I was going to mention, but I did not realize this until I saw it may have been 82, 83 that James Garner went back to do Maverick again.
Very late in the series, yeah.
Well, I mean, after doing Rock Files,
Yeah.
he went and he did Maverick again. I was like, oh, okay. I did not know that.
And that was after they had 3 Mavericks. Because you had Bart, Bo, Brett, and there was one other.
Yeah. I highly recommend watching these because it's kind of fun to see these shows. But the other thing he'll do is he'll add like a commercial that was popular of the time.
Uh-huh.
But the other thing he's doing that for is there's an actor in that commercial that's going to show up in the next show. So you're sitting there going, okay, well, which person is this going to be? So that's kind of a nice little fun thing to do.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
Sounds kind of cool.
It is. Yeah.
Alrighty. On that note, let's take a quick break, and then we'll be right back with our main discussion. Welcome back. Let's go ahead and get into this week's discussion. I'm sure by now you've seen the trailer for the upcoming Superman movie, and we're finally getting our first big screen appearance of Krypto the Superdog. Now I know he's made an appearance on Smallville, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Titans, I think it was Titan series.
There
Yes.
was a movie
He
a
was
couple
on
of
Titans.
years ago. There was a Super Pets movie in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm talking about live action.
Okay.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, that's fine. Well, I mean, he did have an animated movie and an animated series too. So, and he also appeared on the Superboy cartoon back in the 60s. So yeah, so was that.
Didn't he show up in the Super Friends thing in the 70s too, at least once or twice? Or am
I
I
thought
crazy?
so. With the monkey and Gleek and was that the Super Twins?
That's Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
He might have made an appearance. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I.
Yeah, and I could be mistaken.
Now, don't confuse him with Wonder Dog. That's a different.
No, right.
Yeah.
But there's a possibility. It's been a long time since I've seen a lot of those episodes. Yeah. So there's a possibility he showed up.
This was the 70s. They did a lot of strange shit.
Yeah.
Like that.
I'm sure he crossed over on Scooby at some point too.
Maybe.
So this marks the 70th anniversary of his first appearance. And so I didn't realize this as well, but this also marks the 70th anniversary of Ace the Bat Hound's first appearance.
Yeah. It's just a couple of months apart, right?
Yeah.
I think Krypto was so well accepted that they were kind of like, people like dogs, huh?
Which superhero do we have that needs a friend really bad? Batman.
Right. Yeah, Batman. He's lovable. Although Batman, oh, never mind. I'll wait. I guess we're talking about it now, aren't we? Batman's dog wasn't Batman's dog at first.
Right.
He helped him, and then I think it was a case of he had to think quick because there was a picture of Bruce Wayne with Ace, and he's like, oh no, wasn't me. But the guy had told him anytime you need to, he's here. And then I think he eventually moved away and he became Batman's dog. So originally, I can't say that he was a rescue either, but originally that wasn't his dog. But then when Damien came along to kind of get in good with Damien, he also got Damien a dog. So Ace wasn't the only bat dog.
Ooh.
I don't know what Damien's dog's name was, though. But I do know more about Krypto than I do Ace. I don't know. I guess like you guys said, Batman never struck me as a person who should have an animal. So,
but
that's damn cruel.
right.
if any superhero needs an emotional support animal, though, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Really?
he's not very good at showing emotions,
He's
so
not.
you need someone. Dogs need someone who tells them what a good boy they are, and hugs and kisses and cuddles and
You might be biased on this.
just a little.
A little. Tiny bit.
But I do like that in the two major stories that both Ace and Krypto were in, where they wind up saving the day, I really liked that Batman and Superman both are like, wait, it was him. It wasn't me. Don't put don't give me the credit for this. They saved you. So it was kind of like, aw. They share the limelight.
Aw.
But
That's sweet.
it also, like, that they love their dogs.
Right, they value the contributions that their pets make.
Hmm.
Also, they're badasses.
They are. And I think in Superman's story, Superman almost died. So he was a little bit more emotional with it wasn't me, it was the dog. So, but yeah. Didn't we read a story about, I never can say his name, McKibskit?
Mixes Fidlick.
Yeah, where he killed Krypto? Well, he was trying to kill Superman. Was that... I thought we did a podcast on that book, because it was a graphic, wasn't it?
I don't remember this.
Sorry, neither do I.
You don't remember that?
Unless it had something to do with...
Are you thinking about whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow?
Maybe so. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, because he battled, I think it was Amazo. And Amazo was in kryptonite form, and Krypto died battling him.
Yeah. He took in the radiation so Superman wouldn't.
Yeah.
Which gave Superman enough time to get away.
Glad you spotted that reference, because I sure as hell didn't.
But was it McBiscuit? Was it?
Mixie?
Wasn't he the one who...
Yes, Pitlick.
Yeah, what he said.
Yeah, no way
Was
in
it-
hell, man.
I thought he was the mastermind.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
I
She
thought he was
sells
the mastermind,
seashells
because-
by the seashore.
Didn't Lex also show up during that time? Because didn't all this happen at the
This was immediately
Cave
after
of
Superman
Solitude?
died.
Yeah, this was basically the story to end the Silver Age version of Superman.
Right.
This was
right
right-
after
this
the
was-
death of Superman. Right? Am I remembering this right?
I think
Well,
so.
this was right when Crisis was going on. So we're talking mid-'80s. Death Superman was 90s. 92.
Yep.
With Doomsday and all that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So what was that called again?
Whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow?
Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Because I had tried to find that when I was researching for this, and it was like, why do I remember reading this book, but I don't want to go digging without knowing the name of the book.
Yeah. Because that was the final Silver Age Superman story before John Byrne relaunched it post Crisis.
Yeah.
And that was written by Alan Moore.
And the only time that Krypto's origin story has changed was with the new 82.
The new 52.
The new 52. Well, it was supposed to be 52.
It's not really as big as you expected. But anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
But then I think after they scrapped that whole ideal, I think his origin story reverted back to...
Reset it back to the way it was.
Yeah. Jumped into the Phantom Zone and... Which, isn't that also Supergirl's origin story? Wasn't she trapped in the Phantom Zone too? So was Krypto with her?
No.
Okay. Different Phantom Zone.
She landed in outskirts of Smallville. If Smallville had outskirts.
Like the suburbs of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Superman found her. Her rocket crashed and he came across her.
I thought that the reason she didn't arrive the same time he did was because she was stuck in the Phantom Zone. That she kind of took a wrong turn in her pod.
Yeah, she was. I seem to remember she was supposed to get to Earth first because she was going to
take care of him
as a baby.
Because wasn't he supposed to? Yeah, because she was older than him.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he found her, wasn't she actually younger than he was? Because she had been trapped.
Yeah, because he was already an adult and already in Metropolis.
Yeah.
Some sort of time travel shenanigans happening here.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So I wonder.
Let's ask our time travel expert, Mike.
Well, do you age in the band? I guess you wouldn't, huh?
Not really.
Kind of a timeless void.
Because Mon-El never did.
Yeah.
And he was put in there back when Superman was Superboy, and wasn't really let out permanently until the time of Legion Superheroes, which is what, 30th century?
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Zor-El trapped there too? And the same thing wasn't released until I thought that Zor-El was like placed there from Krypton, and then Superman didn't face him again until he was here on Earth, like much later. But he was kind of like an enemy of his father's instead of Superman, you know. I don't know where I read that, but it was kind of when they went into the politics of Superman's parents. The planet was exploding, and you had half the people who said the planet's exploding, and you had the other half going, "Nah, we're fine." I thought Zor-El was on the side of, "Nah, we're fine." And they placed him there as like a prisoner for speaking out on the government, you know.
Zor-El was the creator of the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. See, like I said, I thought it was for him, for Zor-El. Isn't that weird? Zor-El, Mon-El. Jor-El. Kyle. L must
hell.
be a family name, huh?
Yeah, L is.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
And I was also curious if Krypto ages the same way a dog here on Earth would be. He's been around for a while.
Yeah, well, Lois Lane is still in her 30s, 90 years later, so
Yeah.
where's your frame of reference exactly?
Right. True, but, they've made all of them grow up at some point,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't know if that's been addressed or not.
Yep. He was talking about Monel, Jor-El, and everything else. Krypto's family tree, his dad's name was Zipto, his grandfather's name was Nipto, and his great-grandfather's name was Vipto.
Well, which one was Groucho?
Yeah.
Right? I'm thinking Klaatu Barada Nikto here or something.
Mm.
It's like, wow.
Yeah, originality was not super important at that time.
Yeah.
It was the 50s,
They had to make Krypto, And seeing Krypto to me made sense because he was from Krypton, Krypto. So they didn't really have to take that shtick that far. Krypto
Right.
already made sense.
And then they named currency after him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ouch.
It took y'all a while.
My brain resisted accepting that one. I'm sorry.
And that also said that Krypto wasn't his only name. I think that's what I was talking about when they changed it. His later name
Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
was Bibbo Biboski. Bibbo Bibowaski.
What?
What?
Yeah.
Bibbo was a guy in a bar.
Yeah.
Oh, it says Bibbo had wanted to name the dog Krypton after. Oh, okay, maybe so. No, it says the second modern Krypto. The second modern Krypto was a small white pet dog rescued and later named. Oh, he was named by Bibbo Biboski. Bibbo wanted to name the dog Krypton after Superman's home planet. However, he engraved. They didn't have enough room. They didn't have room for the
For the second in, yeah.
Wow.
And he could only get 6 letters for less than $1, so Krypto was born.
See, now that's some realistic writing right there.
Yeah. He was trying to extort money from Bibbo. Angry Bibbo refused to comply and renamed the dog as Krypto.
That's a way better origin than making up weird names that rhyme with crypto.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
Does it really?
It's kind of
Yes.
funny, though,
Yes, Chico.
because this was... Oh, no, that was from the 2000s. I was about to say, in 66, when they're making the family line and everything else, that would have been kind of... I don't know, I ain't paying you an extra 2 cents for that. That's pig feed for a week. Yep. He was a super dog.
As seen in the trailer for this new Superman movie, yeah.
But if you guys haven't seen Super Pets, that was actually kind of cute. It's basically about Krypto. Ace is in there, but Superman and Lois Lane are getting closer, And so Krypto thinks that he's being left out, or he's going to be left out. So he tries to do things on his own, or, he gets upset before Superman has a chance to explain to him what's going on, and Superman gets kidnapped, and Krypto winds up losing all of his powers and picked up and put in a pound where he meets Ace and all the other super pets. But there's like a little gerbil there, which is Lex's pet hamster that he's been, doing all these scientific treatments on and everything else. So the pets that he winds up finding did have superpowers because of the experiments that were being run on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No,
Does he meet Pinky in the brain while
I
he's there?
was about to say Bray would be
No,
a perfect pet for Lex.
but she's basically like a little hairless hamster from all the experiments he's run on her, So she's kind of a bald hamster.
Wow.
But she's got her own little hamster league too, And Les is going to love me. He's just going to love me. And then when she finally rescues him, he pretty much doesn't love her. I mean, it's Lex. Of course he didn't love her, She was just an experiment, not a pet. So
Well,
At least Rocket was an experiment, so.
which one was Rocket?
Yeah, but Rocket got to keep his hair.
Rocket Raccoon.
Oh,
He's jumping over to Marvel.
okay. I was like, what? Oh, yeah, okay. Guardians.
So
So,
yeah, similar backstory, I guess.
yeah, from the experiments. Yeah.
Speaking of Rock, who did the voice of Krypto?
The Rock.
Was it?
Mm-hmm. He was.
Yeah.
Because he's in everything.
Yeah. I didn't want to be Batman's dog. No, Kevin Hart
That was Kevin Hart.
was, yep. You had Dwayne Johnson, yep, Krypto. Keanu Reeves was Batman.
Well, that's
And
cool.
John Krasinski was Superman.
Ooh. Isn't he now Mr. Fantastic?
I think so. Yep.
Crossing the streams.
Yep. I don't know if they count animated, though.
Well, they don't, but by golly, we do because we like animated.
and totally off subject. Have you guys seen the State Farm commercial when it says when you need Batman and you get Bateman instead, and it's Jason Bateman dressed up as Batman? Freaking hilarious, man. That they said that the stunt guy that does Captain America's stunts for him was the actual Batman in that commercial. So I thought that was kind of cool too. So kind of related, crossing streams,
Yeah. More stream crossing.
Yep. No, it's hilarious. I'll post it for you guys.
Now I heard that Gunn decided to use a dog that was similar to his to make the new movie. And that's why it kind of caught the eye of a lot of people. It is a cute dog.
I heard the dog was AI, though.
AI or CGI?
Or CGI, maybe. I never could find anything. But, he talked about rescuing his own dog, and that's what gave him the ideal. And it's like, what a perfect chance it would have been for you to rescue a dog. And Make
And
it Krypto, you know.
make him a star.
Yeah, for sure would get adopted after that, you know.
Well, I mean, if you've got to spare $40 million to spend on CGI anyway, I mean,
Right.
the best way to do that, which is wasteful and dumb, is model it after your own rescue dog.
Yep.
But the deal is, in all reality, your rescue dog isn't trained well enough probably to be a Hollywood actor, so you'd end up spending more time and money training the dog to be able to do what it needs to do.
Probably less than the CGI.
Well, sure, but that's not how Hollywood works. I mean, come on.
But yeah, and you know when things like that happen, it's not just the dog that would have been rescued. It kind of raises awareness that there's animals out there like that.
Right.
You know?
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just making up a story to go with it.
So I kind of wish he would have went that route with it. And I could be wrong because I can't find anything other than this dog is in the movie, you know. So I don't know. I could be wrong. He's cute. Of course.
Like you'd have said anything different anyway.
Right. Yeah, you know. It's probably going to be the best part of the movie.
Probably. Very likely.
Yep.
Especially for you.
Well, and
That's
animals just have a way of stealing the screen, you know.
It does happen. It does happen.
But yeah. So that would have been pretty cool.
Was there anything about the origins of these pets that struck you as odd?
That Batman stole someone's dog and put him in danger to solve a crime?
Now,
Sometimes.
you and I remember that differently. I'm just saying. I saw a video and it said he found the dog. He didn't steal it. It was a lost dog and he returned it to its owner eventually.
And then lured it back with a makeshift bat signal.
Sure. I mean, I'm not saying it was an entirely healthy relationship, but this is Batman we're talking about here.
That was kind of weird.
A little.
Yeah.
This is back in the days of the one and done comics too, though. I mean, they didn't
That's
have
true.
extended storylines. They were
Yeah.
winging it
Yeah.
and trying to wrap up the story as neatly as they could in X number of pages.
Yeah.
So sometimes you get to skip details when you do that.
See, I would have just left him as a stray.
Bull.
I would have.
No,
Well, I mean,
you'd have found a home for him, is what you would
well,
have
I
done.
would have. Yeah, Batman would have kept the dog, but it wouldn't have been a lot of this back and forth between him and Ace's owner, you know.
Right.
I would have wrote it as Batman found a stray dog and there was no owner, so there was no back and forth. And
Yeah, you would have found a way for the dog to have found its forever home.
forever. Yep.
All right
Then-
there in the Batcave.
Yep.
But yeah. But that's because you're you.
True that.
As I was saying, I wouldn't share my dog. I don't care if he found 50 kids stuck in a cave. I'm sorry, that's my dog. I'm not loaning my dog out.
Uh-huh.
That's
Not
just
even
weird.
if it was Lassie.
No.
Whoa.
Lassie would have been on a chain.
Wow.
Running off to the well.
Well, if the deal is it's not Lassie that needs to be chained with the well situation. It's every child in town that
Little
needs to
Kenny.
be, because they all end up in the damn well, and Lassie has to go save their asses.
Well, it seems like after a while the townspeople just cover the well.
Right? That's what I'm talking about. No, we'd have had that series wrapped up in 5 episodes.
Right.
Just nail a damn piece of plywood over the well and call it good.
I'm surprised Lassie didn't.
Right. Well, if Lassie'd had thumbs, she could have handled the hammer to do that. I don't know.
It's what keeps them from taking over the world.
Right.
No opposable thumbs.
Mhm.
I'm sure they think about that too.
Talk
If I
about
just had opposable thumbs.
Same thing we do every night, Pinky.
Yeah.
That's right.
I could open this door and be gone. Did you find anything weird in the stories? Their origin stories?
No, I'm just asking the question.
Right? He's the
I
interviewer
just-
here, Liz, not
Yes.
the interviewee.
I just want
Here.
to rile your feathers.
I would have put Krypto also in the pod with my kid. If you're looking for a protector, dog can't protect the kid if he's not in the same pod as the kid. And then they would have been together when he landed too, and
And then you'd have had to answer that age question that you asked a little while ago.
True.
Because the dog, if dog years and Kryptonian years are similar to dog years and human years, then they're burying Krypto when Superman is about
a teenager.
14 years old, right?
True.
That's a sad story.
Yep.
That's dark. That's what that is. That's just plain dark.
Well, I mean,
It's bark? What?
it's dark.
Yeah, that
If
too.
your kid's a pod while your planet's exploding, pretty much going, take care. Hope you make it, You're just
Yep.
a baby, but bye.
It's a high-powered orphan story, that's for sure.
Yeah. Whew. Talk about some rough choices. Wow. That would be hard choice as a parent. Either they can stay here and that's certain death, or I can, send him in a little pod to another planet where that could be death for him, But maybe someone will find him,
Well, they deliberately aimed him at Earth, right?
Yeah. Would you aim your kid here?
Well, no,
Hope to
but
God he doesn't land like in New York or something.
I'm not in that position.
Little suburb like Smallville. Yeah. But they're also lucky that the Kents found him and not somebody else where they would have run experiments on him and,
Or better yet, like a crocodile swamp or something,
Yeah. I mean, that was a lot of ifs
where there'd be
in
a
place
lot
of
of
sending him off in a pod,
there'd be a lot of crocodiles with broken teeth.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But that's Superman's gorgeous.
Right.
I would have. To at least make sure that he was protected till somebody could have found him, I would have put the dog in the pod with him. And then not only that, he had company while he was traveling.
But he's asleep. He doesn't know that.
Right. Isn't
Well-
it cryo? Wasn't it a cryopod or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up.
So they
Or would-
cryovac their baby? They sound like better parents all the time,
This is getting warped, folks.
Tom, I can hear Tom getting a headache as we speak. The further this goes.
Getting
Let's ask for weird. I gave him weird.
Well, fair enough.
My fault, Tom.
it's okay.
I mean, come on. We chose to have a discussion about anything pet related. We knew what was going to happen. I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot. Damn it. Sorry, man.
Speak.
Go ahead, speak.
Speak.
Speaking of animals, does anybody watch Will Trent?
I have not watched it yet.
Well, this is one for for Liz, that's for sure.
Aw, cute little dogs.
Yes, he has a dog named Betty, and the first episode is when he gets Betty. So yes.
Aw. I'll have to watch that one.
Yeah.
Then again, she thought Dogpool was cute too.
Mm.
There's some things that are just so ugly that it's cute.
You might find people with different opinions on that.
Hear, hear.
Dogpool was cute.
Uh-huh.
And his little shoes.
Okay.
Oh, and that's on Hulu if anybody's interested in that.
Which one?
Yep.
Will Trent.
Ah, okay. The question now is, how do we get from Will Trent back to Krypto?
They're both dogs.
Well, Will is not a dog, but okay.
His little Betty is.
I think I know what you're talking about.
The actual star of the show now. Definitely the dog.
She's on the poster. It's her show. Now, I do hope that with Krypto being in the movies now, that they will bring some more stories to us in the comics because of it. So,
I would suspect they will.
mm-hmm.
Hopefully, it's not a mini-series or something, because that just would just defeat everything.
Yeah. Well, you know, at the ending of Super Pets, the movie, all of the superheroes got an animal. It kind of would be cute to see after, you know. We saw the origin story of them. Now let us see the after with the superheroes, you know, either in film or in comic.
Right, and if you actually do it as a Super Pets title, you could rotate out pets and not have to deal with actually having somebody write and draw a monthly Krypto book.
Yeah.
You could lead with Krypto and then do an Ace and then
kind of like a Justice League.
Go down the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was a thing until Crisis.
Super Pigs out with Wonder Woman. You know, what did they do today? You know? So yeah, that would be a cute ideal.
Sure, it's basically a pet-based anthology series.
Mm-hmm. And most of the times when they release animal books like that, they do sell pretty well. I remember, what was it? Was it Stray Pets that stayed at the top through the whole series? So it definitely has an audience, that's for sure.
There you go. Get on it, DC.
Yep. Steve, tell him. Still another one of our ideals.
All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up and take another break?
No.
I'm pretty good, thanks.
Okay, on that note, we are going to take that break, and we'll be back with Geek News for You. And we're back. It's time for Geek News for You. In this segment, we bring a couple of news items to the table for discussion. And this week, it is Mikey and myself. And Mike, would you go first, please, sir?
Oh, sure. I've been saving this article for a month. No, I haven't. I'm kidding. I got a new one. Wouldn't be very much. Wouldn't be news now, would it? No,
Not
The
news.
olds.
no, I got something new and exciting for Star Trek fans.
Exciting and new.
No, new and exciting. Totally different vibe. Totally. Damn it. I screwed up. I admit it. The Love Boat. No, okay. Wow, another episode where we're singing.
Oh, they're bringing that back?
That's not. Yeah.
We need to do a show on the Love Boat. All the
Right.
stars that were on it and everything.
It's going to be called Star Trek Pacific Princess. A gritty Star
I don't
Trek.
think I don't think we can get Mike on another cruise again. So
Oh, no.
Nice
Never in a
try
million.
there, Liz.
Not even in the next lifetime. But anyway,
Even with time travel?
even with time travel. Especially with time travel. But speaking of time travel, yeah, so this dropped a couple of days ago. So apparently Jonathan Frakes was at the Indiana Comic Con this past weekend. And anybody who has seen Jonathan Frakes in an interview knows that sometimes he just sort of gets his gums flapping because he gets very excited about stuff. He's a very energetic and excitable guy, apparently. And so somebody started asking him, because it wasn't really news that he has been working on the Starfleet Academy series that is hopefully coming next year. Apparently it has wrapped shooting, so that's promising.
That is.
And yeah, he got a little chatty about it on the stage at the Comic-Con and was like, he started saying some stuff and then he was like, oh crap, I hope I'm not oversharing here. So yeah, he's very excited. More than likely, but yeah, I mean, this article doesn't go into a ton of detail. I mean, it does have some info about the series that's coming, but whatever he was talking about, it was just again, it's Starfleet Academy, so it's a bunch of young kids. It's actually set in the 32nd century. So you said time travel. It's actually set in the future, which is not really all that shocking to anyone who's kept up with Discovery and Strange New Worlds and all those. They've been bouncing around through time quite a bit. But yeah. So Frakes has directed at least some of the episodes of Starfleet Academy and is very excited about it, apparently. And there are, if you need an excuse to get excited, some of the names tied to this are, I mean, there's apparently going to be an appearance by Robert Picardo. They are bringing back Tig Notaro from Discovery to show up in this. Mary Wiseman was also in Discovery. She's supposed to be back. Other names are Tatiana Maslany is attached here. And part of what Frakes was excited about was we've also got appearances by Holly Hunter and Paul Giamatti.
Oh yeah, I forgot about them being involved.
Yeah. And the last little tidbit about this, which didn't come from Frakes, but came from another source. Apparently, Paramount is also very excited about this series because, though they're not expecting it to premiere this year at all, they're expecting it to be in 26 before season 1 airs or premieres or is released. They have allegedly already greenlit a season 2.
Wow.
So they're excited.
Yep. Well, this is something. God, they've been talking about Starfleet Academy since the Next Generation days.
Right, for a while.
It's
good
been
while.
a long time. Yeah.
They've wanted to do something like this for years. Well, they're doing it.
That's cool.
It's in
That
post.
is pretty cool.
And Jonathan Frakes, the only guy to direct every version of Star Trek except the original series.
Mm-hmm.
He's directed at least 2 or 3 episodes of every show.
Which is quite a list of shows at this point.
Yep. Yeah,
Very
and
nice.
He also directed at least one of the movies.
He did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Jonathan. I like him a lot.
He's fun in an interview. He really is. If you haven't seen him, find
he's
one.
Definitely he's definitely one of those you go, you know what? I could just hang around and just talk to him for hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe he gives off.
Yep. If you need a good example, the YouTube show Inside of You.
Yes.
He does an episode of that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one with Michael Rosenbaum. It's the host. So they're both personalities, and I have not seen the whole interview. I've seen parts of it though, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a blast watching that one.
Yep, you get a sense of Frakes behind the camera as like a real person, and he's a hoot.
I've seen the program with, Rosenbaum. One of his episodes, and it was with cast members of Smallville,
Mm-hmm.
and he is very entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. He is.
And he's one of those that when he was on Smallville, I would be so enwrapped as to what he was doing and saying that I didn't pay attention to the rest of the cast. He was that good. And I'm hoping he gets to land another part in something soon.
Yeah, he's been in stuff. I haven't really kept up, but he's done stuff, and then he's doing this. I think he's just doing the YouTube thing for fun. But
he did a series. I don't know what it's called, but it was like he was a convict or something like that. But he was posing as a priest for this little town. I can't remember what it's called right now.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I didn't know it existed until I saw a commercial for it, and I think it was like for season 2 or some sort. I don't know. I was like, oh, I didn't know anything about this.
That's interesting.
Yep. Yeah, but I do love his podcast. It's a trip to listen to. He is real good, and you can tell that he makes the guests very comfortable, so they're just as entertaining and engaging as he is.
True.
Right, and a lot of that I think is that he's an insider. He's
Right.
an actor. He's done other stuff, and so he kind of knows where they're coming from, and so he can relate really well.
Right.
It makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in an interview, finding a way to relate to the guest.
Yeah.
We've learned that, if nothing else, on just doing our show.
All right. Well, cool news. Very cool. Y'all might remember it's been several weeks, maybe a couple of months now, that I reported on that they were working on a Sergeant Rock film, and Daniel Craig was going to star as the title character. Mm-hmm. Well, doesn't sound like that's the case anymore. Apparently, Craig has moved on, is involved with Netflix Narnia project. So we'll see what happens there. But so anybody want to guess who's currently in negotiations with DC to play Sergeant Rock? I'll give you a hint.
He won't have to change his name.
No.
God, I hope not.
He won a lot of awards here recently.
A lot of
Oh,
awards.
I don't pay attention to awards. So.
Mm. You want another hint?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These awards were for portraying another DC character.
Was it the Razzies and it's Joaquin Phoenix?
No.
Ouch.
No.
But yeah.
I mean, yeah.
How about Colin Farrell?
Oh,
Penguin.
Penguin. Okay.
Huh.
Interesting. Oh. See, I can see him doing that too.
I could too. He's another one that's kind of surprised me in the last couple of years.
So we'll see.
Yeah, he's always been good. It's just that sometimes he had trouble getting along with people.
Yeah. I was going to say, I know him more from my drama sites than what he's played in.
He's good at playing crazy too.
Yeah.
Not that he needs that for Sergeant Rock, but you know.
Right. And from what I'm reading, they're hoping to start filming this summer or late this year at the latest.
Cool.
So.
I wish them the best.
Yeah, sounds like fun.
That does.
Alrighty. Any special shout-outs or mentions this week?
No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Nothing here.
Okay. All right, we'll move on to our regular shout-outs. I want to thank Pop Goes Culture for allowing us to be part of a great group of Phil Podcast Network. We recommend that you check them out. There'll be a link in the show notes. We also want you to check out the fine men and women who tweet our links on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. And these people are known as Podern Family. And the best way to search them out is to do a search, hashtag Podern Family, one word. Just scroll through whatever catches your eye. By all means, click on that link and download the episode. And hope you have a good time checking them out. I want to thank Manny the Martyr for supplying the music to the podcast. In our show notes, you'll see a link to where you can check out some of their other music. And finally, you, dear listener, thank you for downloading and listening to today's episode. If you have any feedback, please send them to us because we are always interested. There are several ways you can reach out. Email is email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. Or you can go to the website, go to the About Us page, and there's a contact form that you can fill out there. We do have a Discord that you're free to join. We do have an open invitation on our homepage. Discord is free to sign up, and it's free. The app is free in all of the app stores. We post a lot of stuff for news items, discussion items, stuff to laugh at, stuff to listen to, all those good stuffs. So if you want to come hang out with us when you're not listening to the podcast, so come on and join us there. Social media, Facebook, we are the Fellowship of the Geeks. On Instagram, Twitter or X, and Blue Sky, we're at Fellowship Geeks. If you like to follow our personal Twitter accounts, Mike can be found at Mikey Geek. Liz can be found at LN_Geek. Les may or may not be found at Fake Les Webster. And I can be found at Tom TC Geek. And from wherever you download our episodes, if you'd be so kind as to rate and review the show, it would be greatly appreciated. Anything else before we say goodbye?
Just thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Appreciate you listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate your support as always. And until next time, which hopefully will not be in a month. Geek
Amen.
on. Geek on, my friends.
We thank you for listening to the show. Comments, suggestions, and questions can be sent to email@thefellowshipofthegeeks.net. You can follow us on Facebook at The Fellowship of the Geeks and on Twitter at Fellowship Geeks. Until next time,